Welcome to the Surrender Spectrum, InTune with Travis Anthony Johnson. It's the best day ever. Why? Why do you ask? Because I'm here. You're here. And I'm doing something that I have always been afraid to do. But I'm doing it anyways. Truth is, I didn't want to record this. I didn't feel ready. I had all types of butterflies every time I think about doing it. My ego is screaming, just screaming, "You're not good enough. You're not polished." It's always beacon off in my ear, you know. It's chirping in every corridor of my being. But if you want to act like a bird, well, I happen to wake up a bit late today, and I didn't have my breakfast yet. So if you wanna be chirping, I might have to crack off one of your babies for breakfast. Maybe skin off a piece of bacon off your ass if you want to keep acting this way. But you know what? I choose to ignore those voices sometimes. Sometimes I chirp them back. That's all right. But I've let fear dictate too much for too long. So today I chose faith. I chose freedom. And I chose to speak anyways. I guess I'd like to just welcome you to my life after the wreckage. It's been a shit show. Recovery is in my finish line. It's a rebirth, a reintroduction to who I was always meant to be. This podcast isn't about teaching from perfection. It's about healing from the absolute mess in real time. Last year, and we're going on like 22 years of just pure partying, tour life, bartending life, being a drug addict and a sexaholic and a fiend for everything that gave me that dopamine spike. It's been something. It truly has been something. I simply just, did what I could. Obviously I could have done better, but there's no point in trying to fix the things that are already done with, to the extent of rewriting my history. It is what it is, and it has the ability to make me stronger today. There's a lot of people that I had hurt over these years, and I guess first things first, I have to learn how to love myself before I can learn how to love other people and to give back and just to be an overall better man. I have a lot of, friendships that I would like to fix, but I have to do things step by step. I have to get my life back in order before I can begin, working on bettering my relationships. So I'm taking things step by step, which makes sense. I am in different recovery programs: Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, and 12-step recovery is the name of the game for me right now. I had a really, really hard run-in with Well, I mean, this story really has many many chapters. Each chapter could almost be a different drug, to be honest with you. I think back to my cocaine and alcohol days, and those were probably the most destructive, yet at the same time the most fun in many ways, because I just didn't have to own up to who I was at the time. My ego was a riot, and it was just running the show completely, and I had no idea this was happening. I just thought this was me. I just thought that was life. My most recent chapter, I guess, was methamphetamine with sprinkles of GHB, you know. And I don't look at GHB as being a date rape drug. I think, you know, it's the intent used behind any drug. If something was used to be a date rape drug, that was the intention of the person themselves before the drug. Not that I need to justify the drugs, but I want to point out that I was not a date raper in any which way. If anything, I was date raping myself. But methamphetamine, that one took me to a whole nother place, a whole nother dimension. And I don't plan on really chatting too much about, I can't even say that. This is the first episode. I'm sure there's going to be many stories about the darkness and many updates about, you know, the enlightenment of getting, you know, life on track and becoming more faith-based rather than fear-based. You know, you may be asking even what the surrender spectrum means. The surrender spectrum is the emotional map of transformation. It's the spectrum from pain to power, ego to essence, addiction to alignment. Every episode will explore a point on the spectrum. You know, some days it's grief, some days it's gratitude. But we stay tuned in no matter where we are on the dial. You know, I'm just really, excuse me. Yeah, I am I'm burping on the microphone. You want to know something? This is my show, and I'm a burp on the microphone if I want to. But I do say, excuse me. And and I move on. That being said, my biggest obstacle wasn't the world. It was me. Right? And I just have to get out of my own way. I need to stop just trying to run the show and directing a play and trying to run every person that I run into as an actor in my play. And if they don't do what I like or do what I want, then I'm just pissed off at how this movie's turning out. I need to see myself for being a part of rather than being the part that dictates, you know, the path of everyone and everything that I come into contact with. I always had this little voice saying I had to have it all figured out before I even began. So surrender for me, it means letting go of that outcome. It's a total detachment, and it's all about just showing up. So today I showed up. This whole thing that I've been kind of working on to kind of turn my life around, I guess you could say, is it's really about a constraint flip. It's about inverting the power of fear. You know, I've looked to start learning about my fears and the opposites. You know, I've learned to look at fear as more of data these days. It's not a dead end, but a doorway. Fear said, don't speak, you're not ready. Faith said, that's exactly why you must. I flipped the script, and the script became this episode, and we're just kind of rolling with it. I think it's important to recognize, the little wins in life, because they all add up. It's those baby steps that get you to where you want to go in the long run. It's not about shortcuts anymore for me. So, you know what? I went and I bought a mic. That's a little win. I installed Ableton, and being a music producer for, how old am I now? I'm 35. And I started producing on Logic Pro since I was 18, 19. What we got there? So we got 16, 17 years. I've been a music producer on a Mac, on Logic Pro X. And now I just got Ableton for the first time, recording software. That's a little win because I'm very uncomfortable on it right now. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And it kind of drives me a little crazy because I know how to produce music. I like to think I'm pretty good at it. Maybe I'll share some of my music as we go along over the episodes here. But just starting on something new is a little win. Choosing to record even though I wanted to disappear, because that's how it seemed, as I've just been gone. I fell off the face of the earth, and I left behind just a pure wreckage of my past and my choices and my ego-driven selfishness and self-centeredness. So choosing to start this podcast is a major win, and I'm proud of that, because little wins compound into massive transformations. I grow most when I step outside my comfort zone. My ego always wants me in my comfort zone because it knows how to keep me, at bay, and that's living in fear, right? I've always had a fear of success, and I've always had a fear of failure, but they're both the exact same thing when you really think about it. So I choose to become more comfortable with being uncomfortable. As weird as that sounds, it's all about the constraint flip, right? My dog's barking, and that's gonna happen. All right. That's Breeze. She goes with the wind. She just starts barking every once in a while, and I got to deal with that, even though it drives me nuts sometimes. But you know what? She's a dog, and dogs should be able to speak freely as well, just as I am on this podcast. I don't need this to go viral. Breeze might need it to go viral. She can start barking, be featured on some of the episodes, probably all of them, just so she can get, some viral, some of that viral money come in, so she can buy her some of them nice treats. She's begging for bargain strips all the time. But that's okay, because once again, she's a dog. But like I said, I don't need this to go viral. I don't need applause. I just need to stay present, stay real. I need to stay in tune. And I'm so grateful that you're here for it. I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be present. Presence is the gift, man. It's the gift. I've always lived my life worrying about, what's coming, what I don't have control over, but think that I do. So I'm always trying to change the future before it ever gets there, not knowing that it'll never come, because the present is the thing that stays with us the whole time. But also the pain of my decisions from yesterday. The past likes to eat away at me, but if I just ask myself in this moment, in this present moment, is there anything to be in fear of? Am I in danger of anything? The answer is no. It's almost always no. Unless I'm getting chased down by like a lion or, a cheetah or something like that, or a velociraptor. If I got pterodactyls scooping down, let alone even a smaller bird. I'm pretty terrified of birds as it is. Even the birds that aren't flying, if I had an emu chasing my ass down, yeah, I'd probably have a reason to be in fear. But in this moment, I don't have any of those things happening. I got this voice in my head that tells me that there's a million things wrong with me, but they're all just fancied. So what can I do when I'm in fear? I could constraint flip that sumbitch and become in faith and just know that everything's going to be okay, and know that if I just keep stepping outside my comfort zone, I'll keep growing. Right now I'm in my presence, and I am powerful when I'm in my presence. So, I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you came to listen, to be present with me. I know this is just a short one. This is the podcast preamble almost. It's the pilot, and it's a whole new type of flight now. We're getting high, but only because we flying and not because we high. So I'm grateful that you all came. Thank you. Until next time, stay surrendered, stay in tune.